I'm Dalton Stokes for the Midway Messenger. Let's take an aerial drone tour of Midway, Kentucky. From the old, where the town began around a railroad in the 1830s, to the new, where it's grown around a modern transportation artery. You'll see landmarks important to the town's history and identity, and businesses that have helped it prosper. We start over Old Midway, heading north along Winter Street, US 62. Midway's water towers come into view, tall standing symbols of Old and New Midway, a town of 1,700 people. Midway Christian Church, to the right, is very active through events such as its free monthly dinner for anyone in the community. Straight ahead on North Winter Street is the post office with its iconic yellow turret, another popular but more informal meeting place. As we approach the town's original lifeline, its railroad, downtown Midway comes into view. Originally named Middleway, the town was born as a halfway stop between Frankfort and Lexington on Kentucky's first railroad. Main Street, still called Railroad Street by some, runs on either side of the tracks and is a thriving venue for restaurants and shops. The old water tower, nicknamed the Tin Man for its resemblance to the Wizard of Oz character, no longer gives Midway its water pressure, but remains an iconic landmark in Old Midway and is key to the town's identity. Walter Bradley Park, along and east of Lee Branch, has a dog park and serene paths through the woods. Volunteers led by John Holloway, now a city council member, revitalized the wooded section. They built a footbridge creating a pedestrian link from Old Midway to the library, Northside Elementary School, and Northridge Estates, the town's largest subdivision. The oldest part of Northridge, visible to the right, was the first development of New Midway. The newer part, to the east, was built after a zoning dispute that ended in agreement to keep it away from Leestown Road. Land use planning has been the biggest long-standing issue in Midway in the last 40 years. The jewel of North Winter Street, the Holly Hill Inn, was famous Chef Weta Michaels' first restaurant. She and her husband Chris bought the historic home in 2000. It's now the headquarters for the Weta Michaels family of restaurants, with 8 locations, most in Lexington. As we see more of Interstate 64, Midway Station comes into view. In the 1990s, local leaders thought a farm on the north side would make a good industrial park. They went $6 million into debt to develop it, but attracted very little industry. Racked with debt from the project, they tried to sell it to Bluegrass Stockyards, but the community objected. Then they planned a commercial and residential development, which would have been a whole new Midway, but the Great Recession hit and the developer held off, while agreeing to pay interest on the debt in return for an option on the property. As the economy recovered, there was renewed interest from industries, starting with American Howa, Kentucky, which built an auto parts factory on the left. Then, Lakeshore Learning Materials built a huge distribution center that employs more than 250, making it the biggest employer ever in Midway. To the left rear of this 500,000 square foot building will be Lakeshore's next facility, which will employ 100 more. On the right are 3, about to be 4, Brown-Forman whiskey warehouses. The distilling company received a conditional use permit to build warehouses in an agricultural zone, since whiskey is made from farm products. Recently, the city annexed and rezoned for industry the farm adjoining Midway Station and the warehouses, opening the door for the Lakeshore expansion and other developments. These changes have meant great things for Midway. The city has had a huge surge of revenue from its tax on wages and net profits, and has lowered property tax and paid off all its debt while making infrastructure improvements. Mayor Grayson Vandergriff said in his latest annual report, "We can't rest on our laurels. In order to continue to build what I believe is the model small city in Kentucky, we have to constantly try to one-up ourselves, to keep striving to accomplish that feat that others say you can't do."